Isolation is often viewed negatively, associating it with loneliness or failure. However, history and personal growth tell a different story. Isolation, when used correctly, can become the place where unmatched greatness is born. In solitude, you meet your true self. Without outside voices influencing your decisions, you have the opportunity to explore your passions, interests, and aspirations. This self-awareness lays the foundation for your growth. Great thinkers and artists such as Nikola Tesla or Virginia Woolf often emphasized how their greatest successes came during periods of deep self-reflection and isolation. That's why stepping away from the crowd can be the best thing for you. So, subscribe to the channel and write 111 in the comments to thank God. Isolation fuels self-discovery. Isolation is often misunderstood. To many, it might seem lonely or uncomfortable, but in truth, solitude can be one of the most transformative experiences you'll ever have. When you are alone, away from the distractions of the world, you have the rare chance to truly meet yourself. It is in this quiet space, free from the noise of others' opinions and expectations, that self-discovery takes place. In solitude, you're no longer reacting to what others want from you or adjusting your behavior to fit into a crowd. Instead, you have the freedom to listen to your own thoughts, explore your feelings, and understand who you really are. It's like peeling back layers of an onion, getting closer and closer to the core of your true self. What are your passions? What excites you? What kind of life do you truly want to live? These questions often remain buried under the rush of daily life, but in moments of isolation, they begin to surface. This process of self-discovery is a powerful thing. The world is full of influences, social media, friends, family, and societal norms that constantly shape how you see yourself. While these influences aren't always bad, they can cloud your understanding of what truly matters to you. In solitude, these external voices grow quiet. For the first time in a long time, you might hear the whisper of your inner voice, the part of you that knows what you want and what you need. Great minds throughout history have understood the power of this quiet introspection. Nikola Tesla, the brilliant inventor, often spoke about how his greatest ideas came to him when he was alone, immersed in his thoughts. Similarly, Virginia Woolf, the acclaimed writer, valued solitude as a space where creativity and clarity flourished. These individuals didn't fear isolation. They embraced it as a tool for growth and inspiration. Ram Dass once said, "The quieter you become, the more you can hear." This quote beautifully captures the essence of isolation. When the noise of the world fades, you begin to hear not only your own thoughts, but also the subtle truths about your life and your path. These realizations might not come all at once. At first, solitude can feel empty or even uncomfortable, but over time, it becomes a wellspring of insight and self-awareness. Think about it like this. When you are constantly surrounded by others, it's like trying to see your reflection in a pond that's been disturbed by ripples. You can't get a clear picture of yourself. Isolation is like letting the water settle. Only then can you see your reflection clearly. And in that reflection, you discover your unique strengths, dreams, and desires. Isolation doesn't mean cutting yourself off from the world permanently. It's about taking intentional time for yourself to grow, reflect, and understand. These moments of solitude can become the foundation for your personal evolution. So don't fear being alone. Embrace it as a gift, a space where you can reconnect with the most important person in your life, you. Creativity flourishes in silence. Creativity has a special relationship with silence. It thrives in it, like seeds blossoming in fertile soil. In a world filled with constant noise, both literal and metaphorical, our minds are often too preoccupied to think deeply or imagine freely. The greatest ideas don't come to us in the chaos of distraction, but in moments of stillness when the mind is finally free to wander. When we step away from the hustle and bustle of daily life, something magical happens. Our thoughts, which are usually scattered and pulled in a million directions, begin to settle. Like a lake stirred by the wind, the surface of our minds becomes calm, and in that calmness, creativity emerges. Ideas start to flow, connections form, and our imagination stretches in ways we didn't think were possible. Some of history's most creative minds knew this secret well. Isaac Newton, for example, experienced his groundbreaking insights into gravity and motion during a period of isolation. The story of the apple falling from a tree, a moment that sparked the concept of gravity, happened while Newton was working alone in the countryside, away from the distractions of city life. It was in that solitude that his mind could explore the mysteries of the universe. Similarly, Ludwig van Beethoven often retreated into isolation to compose his masterpieces. He would take long, solitary walks through the countryside, carrying a notebook to jot down musical ideas that came to him. Beethoven didn't view solitude as something to escape from. He embraced it as a sanctuary, a space where his creativity could flourish without interruption. The reason silence is so powerful for creativity is that it allows the mind to roam freely. In the noise of everyday life, our brains are often in reactive mode, responding to emails, conversations, and endless notifications. This constant input leaves little room for original thought. But when you're alone in a quiet space, there are no distractions vying for your attention. Your mind becomes like an open field, ready for ideas to take root and grow. Silence also has a way of breaking down the barriers of conventional thinking. When we're constantly surrounded by others, we tend to conform, even unconsciously, to societal norms and expectations. But in solitude, those influences fade. You're free to think differently, to explore ideas that might seem unconventional or even impossible. This freedom is where innovation is born. It's important to understand that solitude isn't the same as loneliness. Solitude is a choice, a deliberate act of stepping away to create space for your inner world to come alive. It's not about cutting yourself off from others permanently. It's about giving yourself the gift of time and silence to nurture your creativity. So if you're feeling stuck or uninspired, try embracing the quiet. Turn off the noise, find a peaceful place, and allow your mind to wander. You might be surprised at the brilliance that emerges when you give yourself the freedom to think in stillness. Silence isn't a void, it's a canvas for the most extraordinary ideas to take shape. Isolation strengthens resilience. Isolation has a way of testing us, pushing us into uncharted territory where we must rely solely on ourselves. At first, this can feel overwhelming, even frightening. We are social creatures by nature, often seeking comfort, validation, and strength in the presence of others. But there's a hidden power in stepping away from that safety net. Isolation, while challenging, is one of the most effective ways to build resilience and inner strength. When you're isolated, you face your thoughts, fears, and insecurities without the distraction of external validation or comfort. This can be intimidating, but it's also profoundly transformative. In solitude, there's no one to tell you what to do, no one to lean on for support, and no one to shield you from life's difficulties. You are left with only yourself, and that's where the magic happens. You begin to realize that you are stronger and more capable than you ever imagined. Isolation forces you to confront life's challenges head-on. Instead of turning to others for solutions, you must dig deep and find your own answers. This process builds mental fortitude. Each problem you solve, no matter how small, reinforces your belief in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Over time, you develop an unshakable confidence in yourself, a resilience that becomes a core part of who you are. Think about it like strengthening a muscle. Just as physical muscles grow through resistance and strain, mental resilience grows when you face challenges alone. The more you push through difficult situations without leaning on others, the stronger your inner resolve becomes. This doesn't mean you should reject help or connection entirely, but it does mean that learning to stand on your own equips you to face life's storms with a sense of independence and power. Many great leaders and thinkers have understood this. Take, for example, Mahatma Gandhi, who often spent time in isolation to reflect and strengthen his resolve. It was in these moments of solitude that he developed the mental strength to lead a nation through non-violent resistance. He knew that to withstand the enormous pressures he faced, he needed to be anchored in his own inner strength. Isolation also teaches you to find peace within yourself. When you're alone, you learn to sit with discomfort, to face your fears without running from them. This self-reliance isn't just about surviving difficult moments, it's about thriving despite them. You begin to understand that true strength doesn't come from avoiding challenges, but from embracing and overcoming them.
Over time, this self-reliance transforms how you view the world. Challenges no longer feel insurmountable because you've proven to yourself that you can handle them. You carry a quiet confidence, knowing that even if everything around you crumbles, you have the resilience to rebuild. Isolation isn't easy, but it's one of life's greatest teachers. It shows you who you truly are and what you're capable of. By stepping away from the need for social validation and leaning into solitude, you forge a mindset that is strong, independent, and unshakable. And with that resilience, there's no challenge you can't overcome. The world's greatest works were born in isolation. Throughout history, some of the world's most extraordinary creations and discoveries have emerged from the quiet crucible of isolation. This isn't a coincidence. There's something profoundly powerful about stepping away from the noise of the world and retreating into solitude. Isolation creates a unique environment where clarity, focus, and imagination can thrive, enabling individuals to tap into their deepest wells of creativity and intellect. Take Henry David Thoreau, for example. His masterpiece, Walden, wasn't just a book. It was a philosophical awakening. Thoreau deliberately removed himself from the distractions of society, choosing to live in a cabin in the woods near Walden Pond. In his solitude, he reflected on life's simplest truths and the human connection to nature. The result was a literary work that continues to inspire people to seek meaning beyond materialism. Thoreau's time alone wasn't an escape. It was an intentional retreat to explore ideas that might have been impossible to uncover amidst the distractions of ordinary life. Similarly, Albert Einstein, one of the greatest scientific minds of all time, developed the theory of relativity during a period of intense focus and isolation. His groundbreaking work wasn't born in a bustling lab filled with collaborators, but rather in his own mind as he wrestled with complex questions about the nature of space and time. Einstein's ability to detach from the noise around him and immerse himself deeply in his thoughts allowed him to see the universe in ways no one had before. Why does isolation have this effect? It's because solitude removes the constant demands of social interaction and the distractions of daily life. In isolation, there are no interruptions, no competing voices, and no societal pressures telling you how to think or act. Instead, there is space. Space to focus, to question, and to create. This kind of uninterrupted time is incredibly rare in today's world, but it's precisely what's needed for great works to be born. Isolation also encourages a depth of thought that's difficult to achieve in a busy environment. In solitude, you're not just skimming the surface of ideas, you're diving deep into them. You have the time to wrestle with complex problems, to make connections that aren't immediately obvious, and to refine your thoughts until they reach a level of brilliance. This is why so many groundbreaking ideas and works of art are conceived in solitude. It's where the mind has the freedom to explore without limits. But it's not just about thinking. Isolation also requires a kind of courage. To step away from the world takes confidence and discipline. It means being willing to face uncertainty, doubt, and even loneliness. Yet it is in this space of vulnerability that true creativity flourishes. The act of creating something monumental, whether it's a literary masterpiece, a scientific breakthrough, or an artistic triumph, demands a level of focus and introspection that isolation uniquely provides. The examples of Thoreau, Einstein, and countless others remind us that isolation isn't a barrier, it's a tool. It's a space where ideas are born, nurtured, and ultimately transformed into works that change the world. For anyone seeking to make their mark, embracing solitude isn't just helpful, it's essential. It filters out negativity and distractions. In a world that seems to demand our constant attention, it's easy to get caught up in negativity and distractions. From the never-ending buzz of social media to the influences of people who may not always have our best interests at heart, these forces can cloud our judgment, drain our energy, and stunt our personal growth. Isolation offers a way to break free from this noise, a chance to step back, reassess, and refocus on what truly matters. When you're constantly surrounded by others, you're often exposed to their moods, opinions, and attitudes. While some influences can be uplifting, others can be draining or even toxic. Negativity has a way of seeping into your mindset, affecting your confidence, motivation, and perspective. This might come in the form of criticism, gossip, or the subtle pressure to conform to others' expectations.
Over time, it can create an environment where your growth feels stifled and your potential goes untapped. Isolation allows you to create a boundary between yourself and these external forces. In solitude, you gain the clarity to identify what's holding you back, whether it's a toxic relationship, a negative work environment, or even your own unproductive habits. By stepping away, you give yourself the space to evaluate your life honestly and make decisions that align with your values and goals. But isolation doesn't just filter out negativity, it also eliminates distractions. Modern life is filled with constant interruptions, from phone notifications to endless emails and the pull of social obligations. These distractions can scatter your focus, making it difficult to concentrate on what truly matters. In isolation, those distractions fall away. You're left with a blank slate, a quiet space where you can focus your energy on your priorities. This focused environment is incredibly powerful for productivity. Without the background noise of negativity and distractions, you can dedicate your full attention to your goals. Whether you're working on a creative project, learning a new skill, or simply reflecting on your life's direction, solitude creates the ideal conditions for deep, meaningful work. It's in these moments that breakthroughs happen, not because you're doing more, but because you're doing what matters most. Think of isolation as a detox for your mind. Just as your body feels lighter and more energized after cleansing away toxins, your mind feels clearer and more focused when you remove negativity and distractions. You start to see possibilities that were previously obscured, and you gain the confidence to pursue them. One of the greatest benefits of filtering out negativity is that it fosters self-reliance. When you're no longer weighed down by others' opinions or drained by constant interruptions, you begin to trust your own judgment more. You realize that you have the strength and clarity to chart your own course, free from external pressures. Isolation isn't about cutting yourself off from the world permanently. It's about creating intentional space to nurture your growth and focus on what truly matters. In this space, you not only filter out the noise, but also rediscover your purpose and potential. It's a reminder that sometimes stepping away is the best way to move forward. Isolation enables deep work. In today's fast-paced world, where multitasking is glorified and busyness is often mistaken for productivity, true focus has become a rare and undervalued treasure. We're bombarded with constant notifications, endless to-do lists, and the pressure to keep up with everything and everyone. Yet it is only in solitude, when all the noise is stripped away, that we can achieve the kind of deep, uninterrupted focus required to accomplish truly meaningful work. Deep work isn't just about getting things done. It's about immersing yourself so fully in a task that you reach a level of thought and creativity that isn't accessible through surface-level efforts. It's the kind of focus that allows authors to write groundbreaking books, entrepreneurs to build successful businesses, and learners to master difficult skills. Achieving this depth of work is nearly impossible in environments filled with constant distractions. This is where isolation becomes not a hindrance, but a powerful ally. When you're alone, you create a space where your mind can operate at its highest capacity. In solitude, there are no interruptions to derail your train of thought. You're not answering emails, scrolling through social media, or responding to the countless little demands that fragment your attention. Instead, your energy is channeled into one thing, the task at hand. This extended period of focus allows you to dive deeper, think more critically, and produce work of extraordinary quality. Nikki Rose quote, "Solitude is where I place my chaos to rest and awaken my inner peace," beautifully captures the essence of this process. The chaos of daily life, its noise, distractions, and pressures, fades away in isolation, leaving behind a sense of clarity and calm. In this peaceful state, your mind is free to wander, explore, and create without limitations. Solitude doesn't just quiet the outside world, it organizes the inner one, aligning your thoughts and intentions toward a single, meaningful goal. Consider the stories of great creators and thinkers. J.K. Rowling conceived the magical world of Harry Potter during a train ride, when she was alone with her thoughts, free to let her imagination soar. Bill Gates famously takes Think Weeks, where he isolates himself to focus on reading, reflecting, and planning. These moments of solitude weren't luxuries. They were necessities that allowed these individuals to produce their best work. Isolation also trains your brain to sustain focus for longer periods. In our distraction-heavy culture, many of us have become accustomed to shifting our attention every few minutes, making it difficult to concentrate deeply on anything. But in solitude, you can rebuild this lost skill. As you practice extended periods of focused work, you'll find that tasks that once felt overwhelming become manageable, even enjoyable. Deep work isn't just about achieving more, it's about achieving better. It's about dedicating yourself to something that truly matters and giving it the time and attention it deserves. Isolation creates the conditions for this kind of work to flourish, not by forcing you to work harder, but by allowing you to work smarter. When you embrace solitude, you're not retreating from the world. You're stepping into a space where your best ideas, most creative thoughts, and greatest accomplishments can come to life. It develops unique perspectives. In a world where ideas, opinions, and trends are shared at lightning speed, it's easy to find yourself swept up in the tide of societal norms and groupthink. While there's comfort in being part of a collective, it can also stifle your individuality and limit your ability to think critically. Isolation, however, offers a powerful antidote. By stepping away from the societal echo chambers, you create the space needed to develop independent, unique perspectives that can set you apart in a world that often rewards conformity. When you're constantly surrounded by others, whether physically or through digital platforms, your thoughts are influenced, even shaped, by the people around you. Social media algorithms amplify this effect, feeding you opinions that align with your existing beliefs and reinforcing popular trends. While this interconnectedness can foster a sense of belonging, it also creates an environment where challenging ideas are rare and thinking differently can feel risky. In isolation, those external voices quiet down, and you're left with the opportunity to explore what you truly think and believe. In solitude, you're not pressured to agree with the majority or follow the crowd. This freedom allows your mind to wander, question, and reimagine ideas from angles that might never have occurred to you in a group setting. Without the need to conform, you can take risks in your thinking, challenge long-held assumptions, and arrive at insights that are uniquely your own. It's no coincidence that some of history's greatest innovators and visionaries were known to spend significant time alone. By distancing themselves from the noise of society, they were able to break free from conventional wisdom and see the world differently. Consider someone like Steve Jobs, who often spoke about the importance of thinking differently. His ability to envision products and ideas that no one else had imagined wasn't born from following the crowd, but from stepping away and cultivating a perspective that was uniquely his. Similarly, philosophers like Friedrich Nietzsche or writers like Virginia Woolf used isolation not as a retreat from life, but as a space to explore complex, original thoughts that challenged societal norms and inspired new ways of thinking. Isolation also enhances your ability to think critically. When you're on your own, you're forced to grapple with questions, ideas, and challenges without immediate input from others. This process strengthens your analytical skills, as you must evaluate information, weigh options, and make decisions based on your reasoning alone. Over time, this practice builds a level of intellectual independence that becomes invaluable in a world where so many rely on others to shape their opinions. What makes isolation truly transformative is that it doesn't just help you develop unique perspectives, it also gives you the confidence to stand by them. When you've taken the time to think deeply and critically about your beliefs, you're less likely to waver in the face of criticism or dissent. This resilience allows you to bring fresh ideas to the table, challenge the status quo, and make meaningful contributions in ways that few others can. In the end, isolation is not about rejecting the world, but about stepping away from it long enough to find your own voice. It's about carving out the mental and emotional space to explore ideas that are entirely your own. In doing so, you gain a perspective that isn't just unique, it's invaluable. By embracing solitude, you're not isolating yourself. You're preparing to re-enter the world with insights, ideas, and innovations that only you can bring. Greatness demands sacrifice. Greatness isn't handed out freely. It demands commitment, focus, and sacrifice. For those who dare to pursue extraordinary achievements, this often means stepping onto a path that can feel lonely. Legends in every field, from athletes to entrepreneurs, artists to innovators, understood that the price of their dreams was steep. They willingly sacrificed comfort, social distractions, and even superficial relationships to dedicate themselves to their vision. Isolation in this sense is not just a phase, it's a powerful, often essential component of the journey to greatness. The truth is, the pursuit of greatness isn't always glamorous. It requires late nights, early mornings, and countless hours spent honing skills, solving problems, or perfecting your craft. This level of dedication often leaves little room for the typical comforts of life. Social gatherings, casual friendships, and even leisure time are sometimes put on hold. It's not because those things aren't valuable, but because achieving something monumental demands an unparalleled level of focus and discipline. As the quote beautifully states, "The path to greatness is often walked alone, but it leads to destinations that few will ever reach." Consider athletes like Kobe Bryant, who became a global symbol of relentless work ethic and excellence. Bryant's Mamba mentality wasn't just a catchy phrase, it was a lifestyle built on sacrifice. While others rested, he was in the gym, perfecting his game, pushing his limits, and envisioning success. His path was not without isolation, hours spent away from family, friends, and the world, yet it was this solitude that allowed him to rise to legendary status. Entrepreneurs like Elon Musk share a similar story. Building companies like Tesla and SpaceX wasn't just a career for Musk, it was a consuming passion that required immense sacrifice. His journey often meant working around the clock, enduring criticism, and facing challenges alone. These sacrifices created the space and focus necessary to achieve innovations that have reshaped industries and inspired millions. But why does greatness demand isolation? The answer lies in the nature of extraordinary achievement. To do something remarkable, you need to think, act, and work differently than the majority. This often means stepping away from the crowd, not out of arrogance or disconnection, but to avoid distractions and fully commit to your vision. In solitude, you can sharpen your focus, clarify your goals, and push through barriers that others might consider insurmountable. The loneliness of this path can be daunting, but it also shapes resilience and determination. When you're alone with your challenges, you learn to rely on yourself, to dig deeper into your reserves of strength and creativity. Each small victory reinforces your belief in your mission, and each setback teaches you lessons that make you stronger. Over time, you come to realize that the sacrifices you've made are not losses, but investments in something far greater. Isolation on the path to greatness also cultivates a unique sense of purpose. Without the distractions of superficial relationships or societal expectations, you become more attuned to what truly matters to you. This clarity not only fuels your drive, but also ensures that when you reach your goals, the rewards are deeply meaningful. Ultimately, the sacrifices made in pursuit of greatness are what set extraordinary individuals apart. It's not an easy road, but it's a transformative one. By walking this path of solitude and sacrifice, you aren't just working toward external success. You're building an inner strength and character that few will ever understand. And when you finally reach your destination, you'll find that the journey was as rewarding as the achievement itself. Conclusion: isolation isn't a curse, it's a gift. When embraced, it unlocks levels of self-awareness, creativity, and resilience that cannot be attained in a crowd. The key to unmatched greatness lies in your willingness to step away, to endure the silence, and to emerge stronger, sharper, and more aligned with your purpose. So, stop ignoring this powerful truth. Your isolation will bring you unmatched greatness if you're brave enough to embrace it.